I'm good.
Look at you.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna say I like how I guess you got them black V-neck memo too, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to be cool like you, Steven Chris.
Yeah, right.
Look at that compound. Look at that creative compound behind you. I love that. Blackberry Smoke.
Yeah,
I don't know, the Revivalists. I don't know what else is there, but it's awesome.
That's actually all my girlfriend's doing. She's big on all that sort of stuff. All my Coltrane posters are downstairs.
Nice. So she's decorating your house. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. She's kind of taking the reins with the whole decorating thing, but she's done a great job, man. It looks great.
Yeah.
She's an artsy type, so
Yeah. Kudos to her, Steven. But look, there you are, guitar mastermind, shredder of the chords, from All Too Real, so many products, Clayton Shaw, played with Just Saints, man. You've done so much stuff, dude. What a guitarist, what a producer, what a guy. Welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was great meeting you the other day, man. I'm pumped to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, to tell my audience, we went to one of the bars here in Lower Broadway, a pretty big one, Whiskey Row, and all of a sudden there's this guy just shredding the guitar, and people just completely captivated on every chord. And besides, great energy, great heart, and we're like, dude, like we'd love to have you on the show. So really, really, it's been great to getting to know you.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. I was surprised really because I've played at Whiskey Row for years now since they first opened up, and I haven't seen it, I guess, just full of that many industry people. There's a thing called Whiskey Jam that happens in Midtown here in Nashville. That's kind of where all the songwriter guys hang out, and all the musicians that have pop country guy gigs and whatnot. And if anything, it felt very reminiscent of that. So I was just shocked that there was exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's some great writers on there.
Definitely. And you are a true musician, Steven. So let me ask you this. For me, like the big question to you to start off is, can a musician be made, or are you born a musician? I guess what I'm trying to say is,
right,
if X person on my neighbor, John Smith, if he puts in the 10,000 hours on the guitar, can he become Steven Chris Harrah, or are you kind of born with that a little bit?
Man, I think a lot of people have conflicting answers on this, but for me personally, in my opinion, I think anybody can do it. And the reason I say that is because when I first started playing, I'll tell you, so I got started playing piano when I was a child. There was a piano at my church, and after service, I would just go down there and figure out some melodies and just kind of noodle around on it. And it was a lot of fun. And my mom got lessons. Anyway, long story short, I wasn't very good. I wasn't particularly good at music when I started. I mean, it took a long time of working and practicing as hard as I could. And then I moved here and, instantly realized I'm not ready. I was good, but I wasn't polished. And it was a consistency thing that I think I realized I was missing. I haven't, he doesn't live here anymore, but my old roommate at the house that I lived at before I met Miranda, my girlfriend, when things finally started really going my way, I mean, he was the first one to be like, you didn't get any breaks, man. You didn't, you didn't get lucky. Like, I saw you sat in your room. When you played, you went downtown and played. And then when you weren't downtown, you sat in your room and you practiced. That was it. I mean, I knew I had to catch up a lot. So, I mean, I was logging, 8-hour practice days. And that's on top of, playing for, let's see, at least 10 years, 10 years, yeah. And then moved here and was like, oh boy, okay, I wasn't, practicing rigorously enough back home. So yeah, I think anyone can do it, man. You get that statement all the time from people downtown. Oh, I wish I could do what you do, and you have this gift from God and all this sort of stuff. Like, man, it's not really that way. Like, I'm like, you really could do it if you wanted to do it. It's not going to happen overnight. It just takes months, years. Yeah. It's a lot of time,
Well, it reminds me, when last year when Eddie Van Halen died, and we were interviewed, we talked to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and everything. Everything had the stories that he would, eat cereal with one hand and have the guitar on the other.
It's right, yeah.
That kind of thing. So it seems like, yeah, like you can do it, but you kind of have to have like almost like an obsessive focus with whether it's guitar or whatever you want to do at a high level, right?
Absolutely, exactly. It's you have to just eat, sleep. You have to love it, you know, and you
Yeah.
have to want to get better. And it's a lot of things. In some ways, it's probably not healthy to be so hyper focused on one thing all the time. But
Sure.
the good thing with music is that it's so infinite that even though it seems like you're becoming very one dimensional, within that one dimension, there's tons of stuff. You know, it's like, well, I play guitar, I play keys, I played sax, I sing harmonies. Then there's the producing side of things. Then there's understanding recording and understanding equipment. So, I mean, that's the other thing I guess I didn't know growing up was if I could go back in time and tell myself as a kid what I should be focusing on for later in life, I'd be like, man, guitar is important, but learn business, learn electronics, learn computers. If you can, man, I realized, you know, learn how to run sound. I mean, you know, it's a pretty what's the word I'm looking for? Interdisciplinary line of work, I guess, you know, playing music is, or being a professional musician. You don't just show up to the gig and go, you know, and shred, and then you call it a day and leave, you know. That's what I thought.
You don't clock out, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's what I thought growing up, but it's not.
It's not like that. But Steven, it's fascinating to hear you say this because it seems like you had so many interests. You grew up in Virginia, in Norfolk, Virginia, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, you went to Old Dominion University for engineering, for physics.
That's right.
So, you know what I mean? These are like serious endeavors. So like, when did you fall in love so hard with music that you just shifted everything there? Was there like a breakthrough moment for you?
There really was, yeah. So so growing up, my dad in Norfolk, Virginia, my dad worked at NASA Langley. So, you know, he from day one was, I don't think he was deliberately doing it, but because he's such a brainy guy, you know, and I'm a very inquisitive, I am and was a very inquisitive kid. So, you know, I'd ask him, Dad, how does this light bulb work? And he would sit there and tell you for 45 minutes how it all came about and how it all worked. And it really got me interested in that sort of stuff, you know, just the world and mathematics and all that. So I think he kind of, you know, subconsciously put that bug in my head growing up that I wanted to do science. And you know, my first, you know, we all remember that first dream job you wanted as a kid. My first dream job was I wanted to be an astronaut. I've always thought space was incredible. You know, so he was the one who really got me on that train. I, you know, took all the AP classes in high school, got to college and was majoring in physics. I think it was 2.5 years in. And I honestly, I loved the math. The math was a lot of fun. I mean, it was really interesting, very interesting stuff. Yeah. And the physics was interesting too, but there was a very defining moment. So I was also just taking some music theory classes. I had taken AP theory in high school, so I kind of skipped the first year of theory in college and just was, I think, auditing I took them. I you know, maybe it wasn't music theory. I think it was music theory. You know, I was kind of, I was like, you know, I'm doing physics, but I'm still love music. So I kind of am interested in this sort of stuff.
Right.
I've always loved jazz. That was something, I had a guitar teacher for a little while growing up, and he kind of instilled the love for jazz into me, you know, because jazz is almost like a chess game in a way, you know, there's parameters and there's almost like, there's parameters, which is the chord changes of the song. And then you can do your own thing over them. It's very freeing. It's like speaking a language. Anyway. So there was a jazz improv class that they taught at my school, and I audited it, meaning I didn't sign up. I would just show up. You know, I wasn't on the roster or anything, but I just show up and get to listen, and I'd bring my guitar. The teacher was really cool. So, you know,
normally the auditors are like the creepy people, like sitting in the corner like that. It's like, what are you doing?
Right. I mean, and that was me.
Not in your case, though.
Yeah. I mean, that was me, but it's the jazz improv class. So there's like 8 guys, you know, and, you know, all dorks that play. I was the only guitar player. I think that was why he would let me sit in and play and all that, and gave me homework assignments and all that. But
cool.
You know, so I had, I think it was on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it was a modern physics class. And then right after that was jazz improv. And I mean, from day one, I'll just give you a little example here. So, you know, in college, usually your first day of class, you know, you walk in, they go over the syllabus, you know, if the class is an hour and 40 minutes long, you get out in like 30 minutes because they go over the syllabus and they go, okay, well, this is the class. You go ahead. We'll start the next class period.
Sure.
This modern physics class, the first day we walked in, that's what I was expecting. I was even a couple minutes late. I hate being a late guy, but I've kind of been a late guy my whole life. But I walk in and he's like, okay, everybody open your books to chapter 1. Today we're learning about Einstein's special relativity. I was just like, what?
Right.
Well, I just came from that class and we went over the syllabus. We're going over what Einstein figured out. You know what I mean? Like the thing, it was just, oh man, it was very fascinating, but it was just intense. And
it was intense.
And I had this jazz improv class right after it. So over time, over the course of that semester, I'd be sitting there in class just looking at the chalkboard or whatever, and he's deriving formulas and this and that. And I couldn't pay any attention. All I was thinking about was, man, I can't wait to get to jazz improv.
Wow.
And then I'm going to play, we're going to get to play over this song and it's going to be awesome. I'm going to play, I was just dreaming of that the whole time.
Wow.
And,
yeah.
The defining moment was it was, I think, the last test we took in modern physics before the final. And there was a test question on this. It's crazy like that I still remember this because it's been, a long time. But the test question said something along the lines of a cobalt atom absorbs this many joules of energy. And in doing so, one of the the electron on one of the valence electron shells moves to an outer orbit. When this happens, energy is exerted in the form of heat and light. What is the wavelength of the frequency of the light that is emitted from the photon moving, or the electron moving to the next shell? And what's the angle at which the wavelength leaves the electron? I remember just reading that and being like, screw this, man. All right, I'm done.
That was your breakthrough moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So meticulous. It's interesting to think about now,
but that took some chutzpah, that Steven, you know what I mean? It's like, we talk about it now and it worked great for you and you obviously did the right move. And I think we briefly even talked about, a little bit about Tony Robbins and, he's a mentor of mine. So maybe yours as well. But like, you were young. Like, where do you get this chutzpah, these balls, this, you know what? I'm going to make, that's a big leap. That's a risky leap. Like, no fear.
It was, so it was maybe a couple years after that experience that I finally decided to move to Nashville. And it really, it was funny, man. I was kind of, I really wasn't that concerned, to be honest with you, because I'll be honest, I didn't have a clear vision of what I was going to do and what I thought I was supposed to do. In reality, and it's not that romantic, unfortunately, but it feels like I almost kind of was just trying to run away and escape from my old life, because I was, so I'm growing up in Virginia. A lot of stuff happened in this week that I wasn't very in tune with who I was yet back then. I was young, but a lot of stuff happened in this week where, I was working this job and a girl I dated was actually my boss at that job. And then I was also, I was doing this internship. And I've been playing locally around town for a few years by this point. And anyway, in 1 week, everything just kind of came crashing down. We broke up on like a Tuesday. I think I graduated from college and finished my internship that Wednesday. And then by Friday, I was just like, man, I don't even want to do this thing anymore. Like, there's nothing here for me. It was weird how it all kind of worked out. Mm-hmm. I couldn't be sad or anything. It was right before Christmas too. I couldn't be sad or anything. I wasn't depressed. If anything, I remember looking around and thinking,
the opening was there.
Yeah, I was like, there's nothing holding me here anymore. Something is telling me, hey, you're free. All that stuff that was holding me back, it's not there anymore.
I love that you did that you went through, because, I promised to only go back to Tony this one last time, but I did a thing called Date with Destiny with him last year. Oh, and he talks about something called the chemistry of transformation, right? And it's like these windows of time that you're opening about. They're when they happen, like, man, you have to go through them because they close. They're not there forever.
Absolutely.
So kudos to you for just going through it.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Tony is right about all that stuff, man. I mean, Yeah, he's fantastic. And yeah, if anything, everything that I had learned up to kind of discovering him was just more reaffirmed, and then even more so learning what he had to say and stuff. Man, he's great. But yeah,
So the universe just clicked to everything. All the variables were Steven. Do it, man.
Exactly, synchronicity or something. Everything was just, and it's weird. Yeah, when moments like that happen, you kind of have to take a step outside yourself and go, wait a minute. It's very easy, especially when you're younger, to get stuck in your head and go, oh, woe is me, or what, life is giving me this or that. But when you just take a step outside of it and look around and see subjectively what's happening, it was very clear. And I mean, that all happened. And I think a week later, I didn't know a single soul in Nashville. I knew one person from a jazz big band that I played in college.
Yeah.
With he wasn't like, you can stay with me, none of that. He was just like, well, I'm at this rehearsal, I'm busy, but if you want to come to the rehearsal, you can check it out, in Nashville. So
yeah.
And I didn't even call him, I think, till maybe an hour outside of town. It was about a 10-hour drive from where I was from in Virginia to Nashville. And one day I think I brought a couple shirts and my guitar, and I just drove out there and was like, let's just see what it's about, and
unbelievable. So inspiring.
It was another one of those things where things happened that just seemed very, almost like too good to be true in a way, where it's like, wow, is life giving me a freebie right now? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I got to the rehearsal and I met someone who's now still one of my best friends, a guy named Adrian Pollard, AP.
Yeah.
And he was there because he had driven the drummer to the rehearsal, who's this guy named Brandon Holt, who's an unbelievable drummer. I mean, I remember seeing him play and be like, I've never seen a drummer like this in my whole life. Like, this is unreal. And anyway, after the rehearsal, I just kind of started talking with him and AP, and I told them that I had been in town. Like, I haven't been here for more than 20 minutes. I just came straight here to see you guys and talk to my buddy and just kind of figure out the lay of the land a little bit. And they were like, well, hey man, we know a bunch of places to live around here. Why don't you just hop in our car and we'll drive you around and we'll help you find like at least numbers to write down for places to stay. So they took me around town for 2-3 hours, probably, getting information about places, writing numbers down, showing me music that I'd never heard before too. I mean, I remember the first thing they asked me was, Brandon was in the front seat and he's looking back at me. He's just like, what you know about D'Angelo? I'm like, I don't know anything about that. Give it to me, And
I love it.
Anyway, it was great, man. And I ended up actually crashing at AP's house that night. And we stayed up probably till 5 a.m., just the three of us jamming in his room.
So good. That's all you needed.
Yeah, right.
Like I can imagine you, with so little certainty maybe to the outside world.
Right.
But to you were like just full of certainty and you just had it all covered. I can just feel it.
Right. Yeah. It all worked out just so unbelievably well. I mean, and it was one of the, once again, I've told AP this too a million times. I'm like, man, if it wasn't for that experience, I might not have moved, I mean, it was that was such a fantastic experience that, and so then the next day AP took me downtown on Broadway and
that just blew your mind.
Say what now?
That just blew your mind.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, exactly. And I got to sit in with this band and play. And anyway, after all that, I was like, I should have moved here 5 years ago. And
yeah.
It was, after that, it was it, I got in my car, or I went back home, I think the day after that, Sunday, and then packed up my car. And I think I drove back a week later. I think I waited till after New Year's, which was maybe 2 weeks. And then I moved, and that was it.
Man, what a great story. It's hard to explain to people that don't live here, because it happened to me too, like how crazy the level of musicality is here. It is just bananas. It's insane.
It's top notch. And it's great because, there's so many good players. There's so many players that it forces you to get better. You know what I mean? You see everyone thriving and just see everyone improving constantly. And, it's great, man. It just gives you, it encourages you to do that. It also gives you, inspiration, because you'll see somebody do something, you're like, oh, I've never seen somebody do that. Like, I know what he's doing, but I never thought about doing that. Now you got that little trick in your bag. And
the collaboration.
Yeah, man, it's great. It really has been fantastic.
Speaking of collaboration, Steven, I mean, you've been on so many great bands. I mean, the Northern The Northern Lights, man. You've done, you know, All Too Real. I mean, let me just play here 10 seconds here of a clip here for my audience, because this is just what you do on a daily basis, man. I mean, cool stuff like this all the time.
Yeah.
Man, just so smooth, man.
It's a very cool song. Yeah, we did that in Nashville at a place called Amber Sound, and it's a great song, Northern Lights. If you guys are watching, just go check it out. It's at Officially Northern. I got to do the shameless plug. They would be mad at me. The other guys would be mad at me if I didn't.
No, absolutely. The band actually, it draws influences from like James Taylor, Led Zeppelin, the Eagles, all that cool stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's very 3-part harmony driven. I've known one of those singers, Garrett, for a long time, and then I met Mike, who's actually the singer on that song, and we just really hit it off. And you know, it's when you kind of get together and everyone's kind of a good harmonizer, and you're all singing together and just hitting these big chords with your voice. It's very hypnotic, and I've noticed that, like, I get drawn into it, but the crowd gets drawn into it. Everybody, when 3 voices are just singing in relatively good harmony, you know, it really does capture a room, man. So there's something really special about that band that we'll see what happens. We're playing at Hodeg Festival in Wisconsin.
Oh, nice.
Next Thursday, so about a week from today, and I think we're playing. Then it's Runaway June, which they're a bigger act. But then the last band that's playing, or artist, is Travis Tritt, which is, you know, big 90s country guy. I mean, if anything, I'm really pumped to see that, man. It's Travis Tritt.
Man, I love that. I love that. Steven, you've been so good with your time, but just to ask you a couple more things. Like, when you guys are performing, like when you're at the peak, like with your band, with Garrett, with Mike, and for example, you were playing at Chickwood the other day at the Botanical Gardens.
Yeah.
When your vocals are like peak mode and people are captivated by it, and you're in nature and in like everything aligns, what's the feeling like as a performer? Because I'm not a performer, Steven. Like, is it almost like what you live for? Like, is it like a high? Like, what's the feeling like?
It is fantastic. You feel, it's almost, I guess I would say the only comparable feeling is probably like to an athlete that's playing a sport and just dominating in it. Maybe not like in a bad way, but just like really in control and really in tune with themselves and their other players. And the other thing that's nice about it is, it's almost like, I don't know if you remember being a kid and just going out there and throwing the football or throwing the baseball, but when you're doing that, you don't have time to think about, I gotta get groceries later, and I gotta pay the bill tomorrow. You don't have time to think about that. You're
in it,
really in the moment, you know. And it really is. It's a great feeling, and
man,
people are in the experiencing the moment with you, and it's great, man. I mean, that's the best part, I think, about being a musician or being an artist in any way, really, is sharing that experience with other people. Because without them, what's the point, you know?
That's amazing, Steven. Well, listen, you've said it all. We're so blessed to live in the city and share this space with your creative talent, man. It really humbles us. So absolutely, man. And we can't wait to see you perform again, whenever that is.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, I'm downtown almost every day.
Rocking it out, man. Steven, thanks so much, man. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you again for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Take care.
Thanks. Till next time.